All right, Shalom Israel, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Barakatah to all the brothers, Yahweh Shemai Latan, Ba'ashem Yahweh to all the sisters. Priest and Officer Matt Kwayak of the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, which started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohana. And in this school, we teach the truth according to the Bible. What is the truth? That the so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, some might say Latinos, all of these brothers, all of these brothers, we are family. We have one bloodline, we have one people. You understand? We have the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel that the Bible speaks of. Right? If you want to get in contact with the school location is Light Pole number 1, Morris Street in Point 14. Right? That is in the same road with the Wasa station, with the Wasa office, and the gym. Right? You come inside there, you see the big sign on the left-hand side, second building on the left, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. That is where the school location at, where you could come, come into the school, understand the culture, understand the history, understand more about the Bible. You understand? If you need to call or contact the school, you could call the officer above me, Officer Sowapi Allah, at 479-8286, right? Or the captain above him, which is Captain Mashak Miam at number 1-202-701-4640. You could call the numbers or drop a WhatsApp if you need to get in contact with the school, need to get more information, if you want to pass you for classes, and so on. You understand? Again, check us out on all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, X, to keep updated with things that are happening in Trinidad with the school, current events, keep up to date with things happening around the nation where schools are scattered throughout the earth. You understand? Under commanding General Yohana. Our next upcoming high holy day, the Feast of Purim, which will be Monday the 2nd and Tuesday the 3rd of March, 2026. You can find that in the book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 20 to 21. You might hear us talking about the upcoming high holy days before the class starts. You might see us putting out different advertisements with these, because these are the things that we as a people, you understand, as that family, that bloodline, supposed to be able to teach the other generation after us. We as a people supposed to be keeping these high holy days, these feast days. You understand? Not the traditions of the world. But because we was grew up not understanding who we are, because the Lord said that we was going to discontinue from our heritage. We will get that scripture as we're going in a little more into the class. The Lord said we was going to discontinue from our heritage. Now we're serving other gods, strange gods. You understand? The white image that was given to us throughout our generation, we still believe that that is Christ. You understand? We worship in Islam. We worship in all these other religions that have nothing to do with black people, nothing to do with the 12 tribes, nothing to do with the Bible. Because, of course, religion has absolutely nothing to do with the Bible. Religion is something set up by the slave master to keep us, this bloodline, you understand, this household, or as the Officer Swapia, let us be saying, this family, you understand, in subjection under them. You understand? These churches are not set up to actually teach the Bible, where black people, Hispanic people, and Native Indian people could understand who they are, could understand who is their God, could understand what their forefathers did. You understand? To bring us out of captivity, to understand more about the Most High. These churches is not going to teach you these things. They're not going to teach you the social and economic structure of the Bible, the Constitution. They're not going to teach you that. They're not going to teach you the dietary law and all these different things. But again, in the ISUPK under commanding General Yohana, you could come into the school. School doors are always open. And again, you could contact the number, send us an email at isupktrinidad@gmail.com. And you could come into the school, check it out. You understand? Watch the classes online, if you can make it down to the school, and start understanding who you are. You understand? Again, check us out on 91.9 FM every Thursday from 7 p.m. Myself and the officer above me, Officer Sowapi Allah, we will be on 91.9 FM every Thursday. You will see various brothers interchanging. You understand? You can call in, ask your questions, leave your comments. If you don't want to call in on the show to ask your questions, or you can drop your comments, you could email the school, send us a WhatsApp on the numbers mentioned before. You understand? And we can answer the questions or leave your comments on the show. You understand? Also to pay attention to the Lord's 57th annual Passover. You understand? Which is a day ordered by the Most High for our people to keep. You understand? It was given to Moses. Moses gave us the instructions on what was needed to be done. And it was told that we were supposed to keep this throughout our generations. You understand? So therefore, our foreparents before us, our parents, our great our grandparents, our great-grandparents, and parents before them supposed to pass down this custom, this tradition, this way of the Lord's Passover. You understand? But most people may not know, most people may not understand that we are supposed to keep these things because, again, of religion, again, of Christianity, again, of the Christian church, not teaching our people we are the true Jews of the Bible, and we have these laws that we're supposed to be keeping according to the Most High. So again, check out the Lord's 57th annual Passover, April 4th, 2026, Houston, Texas. Adults and children 17 years and over, $200. Anything on that, absolutely free, hosted by Commanding General Yahan. You understand? So we're going to continue the class where we was at from last week, right? Where our leaders don't understand that the mission, their mission is to keep us at the bottom. And when we say their mission, what we have to understand is that there's a separation between us being the Israelites of the Bible and these other nations. You understand? There is a separation, and we, as Black people, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we have to be able to break that cycle of being included into these other nations, the cycle that Martin Luther King, you understand, made us integrate with these other nations. You understand? When we were supposed to be a separate people, we fought to be in their buses, we fought to drink out of the same water faucets, we forced to be in their schools. You understand? When we as a people supposed to be absolutely separate. These 12 tribes, this bloodline. You understand? So now we have to try our best to get back our culture, get back our heritage, which is being taught in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. You understand? And separate, break that cycle and separate from these other nations, their customs, their ways, the way how they do things. You understand? Because the Lord gave our forefathers records, which is the Bible, and showed them how our people, our nation, supposed to conduct their affairs within the nation, showing them how the government supposed to be set up. You understand? How it's supposed to run, how it's supposed to function, showing them that we as Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians supposed to be separate. You understand? These other nations, they will make sure that their nation is first. And when you're reading the Bible and you hear the word nation, it simply means race. These other nations will make sure that their race is first. Right now in Trinidad, we're seeing exactly that happening. These other nations putting their people first. When you look at the Chinese, these Chinese, you're not hearing much about them of late. You understand? Because why? They are already in their section. They are already doing what they need to do to keep their people on top. You understand? The 1%ers, you understand what you will call the Syrians. They already put in their people on top. You understand? Certain things have already passed down through their generation to make sure that their family, you understand, their bloodline keep afloat. If you could remember when I think his name was Anthony Bourdain came down and they keep their show. You understand? And these 1%ers came up on the show and they were saying that they like the Starbucks at the capital at Trinidad. You understand? Meaning that their franchises that they have make them become the 1% of Trinidad, the things that is passed down to them. You understand? The way how they keep their bloodline pure. Because they ain't seeing no Chinese intermingling with the 1%ers. They ain't seeing no 1% intermingling with the Chinese. You understand? So they making sure that they stay clean. They making sure that they stay pure. When you look at the East Indians, they making sure that their traditions, their customs, the way how they operate within their Indian society stay pure. You understand? Stay right. And that is something that we as Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we have to watch and pay attention to. Is that wrong? No, it is not wrong. These other nations, what they are doing is right for their people. You understand? And we can't get vexed for that. We cannot get vexed the way how they do things for their people to make sure they stay on top. Why? Because the Lord gave you, so-called Black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, your Bible, your book, your records, your history, so that you will make sure that your people stay on top. You understand? Will make sure that your people do not lack. Will make sure your people in suffer and that we do not go in the way of these other nations. You understand? This is absolutely important. Now, when we was taken from West Africa, when we were taken from Jerusalem, because we have been through many captivities, but when we were taken from Jerusalem and some of us ran into West Africa, we was taken from there and sold as slaves, we lost everything. We lost our culture, we lost our history, we lost our way of life. You understand? We lost our language, we lost our names that was given to us by our foreparents. You understand? A custom that is in the Bible. We lost everything. Within the other captivities of Israel, within the other captivities of black people, because some people might watch the transatlantic slave trade as, you know, all right, well, okay, black people was captured at that time, but we had many different captivities throughout history. You understand? The Atlantic slave trade was just the biggest one. But we could go back in history and see where black people was always being captured and conquered by these other nations when we refused to obey the Most High. You understand? And when we fled into Africa and they came and captured us as a people, they didn't just capture random people running about in Africa without clothes or without sense. You understand? Because when you go back to the history, I believe next week, Lord our Lord, we will go into it. You understand? When you go back in the history, you're seeing whereby when they captured us as a people from Jerusalem, they captured leather workers, painters of art, blacksmiths, goldsmiths, you understand? Industrious workers, letting us understand, but wait, we wasn't just random people running about in Africa that they just capture. You know, the narrative always done, black people sold black people into slavery, or Africans sold Africans into slavery. The narrative was already out there. So now, with that being said, you seeing or understanding, but wait now, the people that was captured in Africa, they had a whole different way. You understand? They was a thriving people. They was a people that already had their nation going. When you go back a little more, you're going to understand, but those people was not the originators being in Africa. They came from somewhere. Just like we will have many migrations with Palestine and Iraq and Iran. You understand? And for example, the Guyanese leaving Guyana to come in Trinidad. Get a plenty Guyanese Indians there. You understand? Plenty different migration patterns. So now we're realizing, but wait, it was a people that came to Africa looking like the Africans by skin color. You understand? But they actually migrated. They actually left from Jerusalem, a thriving people. But the narrative out there, Africans sold Africans into slavery. You understand? When that wasn't so. We as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we was a thriving people. But the Lord tell us that he wants us to be holy. He wants us to be separate. The Lord said that he wants us to be above all people, but not understanding that, not understanding your culture, not understanding your history, not understanding, most importantly, your identity. You're going to believe, you understand, that, nah, the Lord don't want you to be above. You're going to believe that whatever happening in society, you know what I mean, with you being the one that lacking, it is your fault. When all these things are not so, we are not being taught, you understand, from these institutions that is set up by oppressors, set up by people that want to rule over blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. So now they have to indoctrinate you in a certain way so you wouldn't know who you are. You wouldn't know who you is. You wouldn't know your bloodline. You wouldn't understand that. As we always say in these classes, the Venezuelans, you understand, the Colombians, the Brazilians, the Haitians, all these are your family. You wouldn't believe that. And now we will keep the vision in our mind. You understand that? No, we're not family. You understand? We will make landmass, make us separate. But in the ISUPK, under commanding General Yohana, when you come into the school, you start learning your identity, which is absolutely important. You understand? When coming to know the Bible, when coming to understand the truth of the Bible, some people like to jump in Paul, jump in Peter, jump in all meats are good to eat, when they think of the Thanksgiving or whatever the case might be. You understand? Not knowing your identity is most important in the Bible. I'm not saying it's the only important thing, but it is most important. Because when you could identify yourself in this book, then now you'll be able to identify all these other nations, these 18 nations that is recorded in the book. And when you start reading the Bible, you're going to realize, but wait, if I come from the nation of Israel, why have all these atrocities happened to me? Happened to my people? Happened to my nation? Why all these things happening? You understand? Then you go ask, who are these other nations? Who is these people that oppressing Israel, that oppressing this nation? Then you will start to put the pieces together and understand when the Bible is speaking about the Elamites, talking about the East Indians. You understand? The Hittites, the Jebusites, speaking about the Africans. Now you're realizing, but wait, we separate from the Africans. We're not the same people. Then you start doing your customs, your culture, your history, your laws. Then you go understand Slovakia. Yeah, Slovakia, right? So now you're understanding all these different things. So now, as Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, they could identify with the Bible. They could identify and understand, all right, look at what these other nations do. Even when you go into their history, you're seeing their history talking about the atrocities happening to Black people. You're going to see whereby the things that they did to Black people, then you can bring that right up to today and see that it is a continual, perpetual hatred against Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You understand? Our forefather David spoke about that, talking about the nations have taken crafty counsel against our people. You understand? Everything right here in this book, but just start putting the pieces together. You're going to learn the pieces in the Israelite school of universal practical knowledge. When you read things that you may not understand, you just ask questions. You get your questions answered. You understand? So we're going back to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 6. We go roll up a little bit, and then we go continue off with the class from last week, Lord allow, right? So the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. This is what Black people have to understand in Trinidad. The Lord saying that we are holy people. Now, when you hear the word holy, we have to separate ourselves from religion, separate ourselves from the Christian church, because holy have nothing to do with the church. Most time people hear holy, the first thing flashing in the mind is the church. The way you dress. Have to be able to go to church every Sunday. You're not missing men's meeting. You're not missing women's meeting. What we have to do is get in our mind that the Bible have nothing to do with religion. You go into church, that is something you decide to do on your own. You decide to go and fellowship with other people. You understand? You're not being taught the Bible inside it. The Lord saying he wants us to be holy, he wants us to be a holy people. Holy means separate. You understand? Kodash in the Hebrew language. So the Lord is telling us, for thou art an holy people, Black people, Hispanic people, and Native Indian people, who was given the laws by Moses, the book of Deuteronomy. The Lord is saying, you are a special people. Now remember, when these things was given to Moses, Moses was only speaking to the Israelites. He was only speaking to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. And he was telling them what the Lord requires from them. And he's saying here, for thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. You understand? The Most High power is your God, is your power. So Moses is letting us know that we are separate to God, the Most High. You understand? The Lord thy God had chosen thee to be a special people. So now Moses is saying, Most High chose us to be special. So out of all these 18 nations, out of all these other races, the Lord wants us to be special. He chose us to be a special people. Or if you have many different, for example, you might use vehicles, right? Or houses, or whatever the case might be, whatever you have. And you choose something to be special, is only right. When you choose that to be special, you're going to treat this particular thing as a certain way, or these things a certain way. You understand? You will have a separate rule or thought for what is this that you made separate. You understand? So the Lord is saying, the Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself. So he chose us, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, to be separate, to be special, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So now that's supposed to bring something to your attention and let you know, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, that the Lord wants us to be separate, to be special, and to be above all these other people that are upon the face of the earth. So the Lord wants us to be above the Chinese, the East Indians, the 1%ers, the all these other nations, the Africans, the Hittites, the Jebusites, the Arabs. You understand? All them in Palestine, the Lord wants us to be separate and above. You understand? Not to be integrated with these other nations. Because us as a people integrating with them never brought us anywhere close on their level. We always remain at the bottom. You understand? We always remain at the bottom. But if we actually start doing what the Lord says, then we as a nation, 12 tribes, this bloodline, this family, going to start rising above all these other nations that are upon the face of the earth. Salakia. I just want to answer that. I just want to answer that bell there. I'll be back.
Serious, and you're looking for a Christ man, the one who anointed with the Lord, with the Spirit of the Lord, to do his will. I'm that nigga.
One West, 125th Street. Look, y'all put y'all faith in presidents like they gon' change this country. Run the league and let y'all play, cause y'all gon' make them money. Fuck Obama, he ain't come here on Congo.
I don't like no soldiers. For the spirit of the Lord, we don't like no soldiers.
Like a saint, black, Hispanic, native, they hate y'all as the same. Hate Christ in their image, hate you as a slave. God ain't all love, scriptures say you hate African soft niggas, they know we not the same. School to prison pipeline to get you off the streets, put you in the cell, totally connected to the saint. Molested as a kid, she prostituted as a teen. The byproduct of Martin Luther King dream. They just took the yoke off, my nigga, we ain't free. We live in bleak in these wastelands of poverty. If you don't know the truth, then the lies sound promising. Prophecy, gift and the curse. Dylan started killing, they was sitting in church. Black folk forgave him, man, this shit is absurd. You should never love your enemy, that shit ain't gonna work. Yeah, fuck dying on your knees, you better die in glory. Man, I joined the UPK, taught me the art of warring. I took a nigga life like mine to be recognized. I feel that pain every day, it can't be reconciled. Pops banging, my sister a prostitute. My brother got life, and somehow I still found the truth. War ready, no cowards, no excuse. Fuck reparations, you can't bandage no open wounds. Blood on the leaves, body swing hung from a noose. I was on a run in Nashville and I found the truth. I called the school, classes being held by the shot. On my life, I want to be a gangster like a child. Do this for
Yeah, so we're going to continue again, right? So now, where we was at was speaking about the Most High separating us from all these other nations, you understand, from all these other people. And this is something we as Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians definitely we have to understand. Definitely we have to pay attention to. With Bible, small as it is, start learning your identity, start learning your history, start learning the culture, start learning about these other nations. Because all these things is important, you understand? For us as Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to know, right? So from there, we're going to go to the book of Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 26. Right? The book of Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 26. And ye shall be holy unto me. So the Lord is saying to the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, that he wants us to be holy, meaning be separate. You understand? He wants us to be holy unto him. For I, the Lord, am holy. Let any black man understand that he is holy, he's separate. Most High power, the Most High God is not with other gods. You understand? You can't class him with other gods. You can't put him with other gods. These other nations, they have their gods for their people. Most High saying that he is separate. He made us separate, he is separate. You understand? And have severed you from other people, that he should be mine. So the Lord has severed us from other people. The other people speaking about all these other races, all these other nations. The Lord has severed us. You understand? That we, as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, should be his. So now he could give us our laws. He could give us our culture. He could give us the things that we need as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to be that people that he wants us to be above all these other nations. You understand? Because the Lord wants us to be the ones that is ruling the planet, not these other nations. Scriptures tell you, just paraphrasing, that the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. You understand? The earth is not given into the hands of righteous people or right people, or the people that the Lord wants to govern this planet. You understand? The earth is given into what? The hands of the wicked. The people that are ruling and governing this planet right now, they are the wicked ones. They are the ones that only going to sort out themselves. You understand? They are the ones that is not going to look out for the nation of Israel, those 12 tribes that the Lord say he wants to be separate. He wants to be holy. He wants to be above all these other nations. You understand? This is what the black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man have to know. This is what they have to understand. It is important that we know that. You understand? So the Lord saying that you should be holy, for I am holy. You should be separate, for he is separate. For I am the Lord thy God. For I am the Lord, I'm holy, and have severed you from other people. The Lord separated us from all these other nations, that ye should be mine. That we as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians should be his. You understand? That we should serve him, that we should do the things that is required from us as a nation. You understand? And from there, we're going to go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 43. Before we get into two short videos and then the reading of our article, right? The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 43, Baba Kusha. Come up and get the mic, Baba Kusha. Come close to speak. Person, let me see. Check. Right, I don't want to know.
All right, do it. You know?
Yeah, as already.
All right, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high.
You understand? So the Lord is telling us, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, the stranger that is within us, the people that the Most High separated, that severed us from. You understand? The Lord is saying that they are the ones that's going to get up very high. Why are they going to get up very high? Because when they go back to verse 15, they're going to see what the Lord said. If he didn't obey his laws, commandments, and statutes, if we didn't do that, we was going to be cursed as a nation, cursed as a people. You understand? This is one of the things that we as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians had to see and recognize. You understand? Jump up to verse 15, Baba Kusha.
God, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 15.
Mm-hmm.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Most High thy power, to observe to do all his commandments.
Right.
You don't?
Yeah, go ahead, Professor Tazo.
Can. And his statutes, which I command thee.
Verse 1. Let me jump up to verse 1, Baba Kusha.
Can. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Most High thy power, to observe and to do all his
To
commandments,
observe and do it.
all his commandments.
So Moses is telling us that it's going to come to pass, which means that it's going to happen. You understand? If you should listen or hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, you understand? Unto the book, this Bible, unto the instructions that the Lord gave our forefathers to give to us. You understand? If you should what? Hearken diligently. Not just listen, but listen diligently. So which means you have to pay close attention. You have to observe. You have to do. You understand? Go ahead.
Come on, God.
Start from to observe and do.
To observe and to do all his commandments,
Mhm.
which I command thee this day, that the Most High thy power will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
You understand? So the Lord is saying, if we observe and do all the commandments that he commanded us today, that he's going to make us as that nation be above all these other nations that is above us right now. The Lord saying that he's going to set us on high above all these nations of the earth. You understand? So black people, Hispanic people, Native Indian people, we wouldn't be in the ghettos selling drugs to one another. You understand? Our women wouldn't be on stripper poles and committing abortions and all these different things. Our people wouldn't be at or we will put it, the NP office looking for jobs and food stamps and all these different things. You understand? We wouldn't be being gunned down in the streets by the hands of the police or by the hands of each other. You understand? We wouldn't be the people that are running from ICE and all these atrocities that is happening to us. We wouldn't be that people, because the Lord is saying that he's going to set us on high above, which means our nation will be a well-established nation. We would be a well-established people. You understand? With a proper government, proper army, and all these other nations under us is going to be under subjection, just like how we are under subjection right now to these other nations. You understand? Jump to verse 15, Baba Kusha.
Come on, God. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 15.
So from verse 2 to 14, you're seeing whereby the Lord saying all the things that is going to happen to us if we obey diligently, observe and do his commandments, right? So we're going down to verse 15 now. Where, Baba Kusha?
Come on, God. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken diligently, slack unto the voice of the Most High thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
You understand? So now, if we do not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and do, just like what the Christian church, the Muslim mosque, these religions, these politicians, you understand, have us doing right now, not observing, not doing what the Most High tell us to do. Because in the Christian church, we know that they're going to celebrate the Easter coming up. You understand? And all these other, yes, Salakia. Right, just like the Christian church have us doing right now. We're not celebrating, we're not observing, and we're not doing the things that the Most High required for us as a people to do. We're not observing it, we're not doing it. You understand? So now all these atrocities is going to befall us. You understand? You go down through underneath verse 15 from 16. Going down, you're going to see all the things that happen to us because we fail to observe and do the things that was required by the Most High. You understand? That was the end of 15 to read, right? Read it from the top again one more time, Baba Kusha.
Come on, God. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 15.
Go ahead.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Most High thy power.
So which means it is going to happen. You understand? If you don't observe the voice of the Most High, go ahead.
to observe to do all his
to
commandments
observe and do his commandments,
and his statutes,
mhm,
which I command thee this day, that all these curses,
all these what?
curses
All these curses is going to come upon us and overtake us. Continue, Baba Kusha.
shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
You understand? So all these curses is going to come upon us and overtake us. You understand? Jump down to verse 43, Baba Kusha.
Come. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 43.
Go ahead.
The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high.
So the stranger, these other nations, you understand? The Lord is telling us, because we fail to observe, to do his commandments, his statutes, you understand? That he commanded Moses to give unto us. Because we refuse to do it, the Lord tells us that the stranger that is within thee, go ahead,
shall get up above thee very high.
they're going to get above us very high. You understand? All these heathen nations, right now, they are above very high. You understand? When you look at the class or the level that the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indians are, we're not up high. We're not on the same level with all these other nations, their power and their might, and their military structure and the way how they do things. We're not up on that level. We can't bust shot to say whereby we're sending food here and holding back food there. You understand? We can't put sanctions on no country, on no nation, on no island. You understand? Because the Lord is saying that the strangers around us is going to get up very high. And because we are at this low position, because our nation is so poor, we can't understand the level of height. We can't understand the level of power. You understand that these other nations have been above. You understand? Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
And thou shalt come down very low.
And the Lord is telling us, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, that you as a people, you as a nation, you as that family, you as the 12 tribes, you're going to come down very low. You understand? We are the ones that is going to do what? Start serving our enemies. When our enemy is supposed to be the one serving us, serving this nation, you understand, as the scripture says, the 12 gates open and they bring in tribute. Throughout these 12 gates, we are at the bottom of society, asking these other nations for help. You understand? Give me verse 48, Baba Kusha.
The book of Deuteronomy 28 and verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies.
Therefore you shall what?
Serve thine enemies.
The Lord is telling us that he's going to serve our enemies. This nation, this people that fail to obey the Most High's laws, commandments, and statutes. The Lord saying that we are going to be a people that is cursed. You understand? So now the strangers being upon us, that is a curse to us. You understand? And we as a people that is going to serve our enemies, that also is a curse to this nation. Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
Which the Lord shall send against thee.
Which who shall send against them?
The Lord shall send against thee.
The Lord is going to send this people. The Lord is going to send our enemies against us. You understand? Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
In hunger.
In what?
In hunger and in thirst.
No, in hunger and in thirst. We're not just talking about you going on the side of the road to buy food. You understand? We're talking about containers and shipments. You understand? Coming into this people. Coming into these nations. The Lord said we're going to serve them in hunger. We're hungry, we have to go to these other nations. We need water in whatever capacity. We have to go to these other nations. Because this is a curse from the Lord. The Lord said that he's going to send our enemies against us. Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
And in nakedness.
And in what?
And in nakedness.
Need clothes for your back, clothing, textile, and in nakedness. We still have to go to our enemies. And who put them there? The Lord. This is what you have to understand, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. Because we refuse to obey the Most High, because we refuse to do what is right in the eyes of the Lord the Lord sent our enemies. You understand? So that we should serve them. Serve them how? In want of all things. Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
And in want of all things.
Go ahead.
And he shall put a yoke of iron.
And he shall do what?
Put a yoke of iron.
And these nations, these enemies, these heathens, the Lord is saying that he's going to put a yoke of iron. Go ahead.
And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck.
And he's going to put a yoke of iron upon your neck.
Until he have destroyed thee.
He's going to put a yoke of iron around the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man neck. We saw what happened to us through slavery. You understand? We have been, these yokes of iron was upon our neck until what? Until we was destroyed. Until we didn't know our culture, we didn't know who we are. You understand? We lost our language, we lost everything. We lost the constitution for our nation. The Lord saying that he's going to put a yoke of iron upon our neck until what? We have been destroyed. Even when you look at today, these other nations, they keep putting yokes of iron, keep putting burdens on blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, and it is continually keeping us destroyed. You understand? We might look at abortions and smoking and these things light. We might watch at it light, but it is not light. These things are burdens. You understand? That is continually destroying the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. When you look at all these holidays passing down from generation to generation, these things are burdens. You understand? To the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, and it is continually destroying us as a people, continually destroying our nation. You understand? But if we start coming to the realization, we start coming into the understanding of who we are and what we as a nation and as a people supposed to follow, supposed to do, then you're going to see how burdensome these yokes that these other nations had put on us, how there was. You understand? These is the things that we have to understand, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
Good. Verse 49.
Go ahead.
The Most High shall bring a nation against thee from far.
He shall do what?
Bring a nation against thee from far.
The Lord is going to send a nation against the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians from far. Go ahead.
From the end of the earth.
From where?
From the end of the earth. As swift as the eagle flieth.
You understand the logo of the so-called oppressor, and he's saying that he's going to send them swift, which means he's going to come upon our nation quick. Go ahead.
A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
We wouldn't understand the language, because the language that we spoke before wasn't the language of the oppressor. You understand? So when they come and they start speaking, we ain't going to understand that. Just like when I think it was Christopher Columbus came across. You understand? And the Native Indian brothers and sisters, they didn't understand his language. And he wanted to know where our people got all this gold and many different things. And start slaughtering them because he wanted to get part of that. You understand? But they couldn't understand the language to direct him which part to go. That is part of the history with Christopher Columbus. And the Lord saying he's going to send a nation against us from one end of the earth quick. And that nation, we're not going to understand their tongue. All these is things recorded in the Bible for us to learn. You understand? Where Baba Kusha?
Verse 50. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor shew favor to the young.
Nation of fierce countenance. You understand? That nation, that people, their countenance is going to be fierce. They're going to look like red, like, you know, yeah, but they're going to take we. And these people is not going to have no regard for the old, neither for the young. They would not have no empathy to the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. You understand? They wouldn't care if you have children, if you have wives, grandmothers, grandfathers, who's sick, who ailing, whatsoever the case might be. This nation, they didn't care. They didn't give in regard to the old, neither to the young. You understand? Jump down to verse 64, Baba Kusha.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 64.
Go ahead.
And the Most High shall scatter thee among all people.
Where is going to scatter us?
Among all
So
people.
now we as a people, we as a nation, that tribal nation, you understand? That once had our own economy, our own government, you understand? The Lord saying that He's going to scatter us among all people. So among all these other nations, where the Lord saying is going to get upon us very high, among all these other nations, where the Lord say He had severed us from, separated us to be special, to be holy, the Lord is saying amongst all these people, He's going to scatter us. So what does that signify? It signifies that our nation was going to be destroyed. Our homeland was going to be destroyed. You understand? It's like somebody saying, well, so-called white man, the oppressor, yeah, them going to be scattered into all nations. So now you know in that way, custom of that people, or the way how they do things, that government, you understand? They're going to be destroyed. So the Lord is signifying to the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. With us being scattered among all nations, he was going to be destroyed. You understand? Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 64. And the Most High shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth, even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods.
Therefore, we shall do what?
Serve other gods.
Understand? And where we were scattered, we was going to serve other gods. Because our prophets, our forefathers of old told us that we are going to discontinue from our heritage. You will get that scripture after Baba Kusha. You understand? The Lord is telling us that there where we are scattered, we're going to serve other gods, because the Lord already told us we was going to be what? Destroyed. When these yokes of iron came off our necks, we was going to start serving our God, other gods, because we lost our culture, we lost our identity, we lost our history. You understand? We lost all the strong men, just like in the days of Antiochus. We lost all our mighty men. You understand? Because we were scattered into all nations. When we came across in Africa, remember we came with saddlers, painters of art, and so forth and so forth. You understand? Industrious people, as skillful people, as history said. So we lost everything. You understand? Then we started serving other gods, because we know once we serve the Most High Power, the Lord is going to fight for us. So now we started to serve a God, looking for that God to fight for us. You understand? Read it again, Baba Kusha.
So this is what verse again?
Verse 64.
Come on, God.
Take it from the top, Baba Kusha.
Come on, God. And the Most High shall scatter thee among all people,
Go ahead.
from the one end of the earth,
So the Lord is going to scatter us from one end of the earth, go ahead,
even unto the other.
even unto the other. So we was going to be taken from one part of the earth and scattered on another part. You understand? We was going to be taken from our homeland, from one end of the earth, even unto the other. Go ahead.
And there thou shalt serve other gods.
We was going to start serving other gods. You understand? Start serving the white image. We start serving Buddha, because half our people in Buddhism. We start serving the gods of the East Indians, Brahman, Vishnu, and Shiva. You understand? And Kali and all these other gods. We start serving, religion. You understand? Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
Which neither thou nor thy fathers have known.
Which neither who?
Thou nor thy fathers have known.
Because our forefathers, they have not known these other gods. They know about the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They had the fear of the Most High. You understand? And these people that was being scattered, they have not known all these other gods. That is why the Lord say, thou or thy fathers. Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
Even wood and stone.
Even what?
Wood and stone.
It goes directly into the Christian cross, that wood image, that graven image that the Lord tells us not to serve. You understand? And stone, going to the Qibla stone. You understand? In the Arab religion, Muslims. Lord saying he's going to serve wood and stone. That is to show you how destroyed we as a people was when these yokes of iron came off our necks, after we go through all these atrocities under the hands of these other nations. You understand? Jump down to verse 68, Baba Kusha.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 68.
So to reiterate, in verse 64, where the Lord saying that we are going to be scattered among all people from one end of the earth even unto another. We go down to verse 68, we're going to see. Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
And the Most High shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
The Lord saying that he's going to bring us into Egypt again. Egypt just synonymous with the word bondage. So the Lord is telling us we're going to go into bondage again. Why are we going to go into bondage? Because of disobedience to the Most High. You understand? Which also goes to show again that this is another curse that happened to us. The Lord bringing us back into bondage again because of our disobedience. Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee.
You understand? The same way how I tell you it's going to happen is exactly how it is going to happen. So-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian. Nothing different than going on change. The Lord said he's going to bring us into Egypt again. And if you look at where Jerusalem was, if you look at where Egypt is, you'd have no way you could use ships to go between there. You understand? The Lord is saying that he's going to bring us into bondage again. So some point in time, with our disobedience, we are going to go into bondage again. But this time we're going into bondage how? With ships. Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
Thou shalt see it no more again.
Thou shalt see it no more again. What is the it being spoken of here? Talking about our homeland. We as a people was not going to see our homeland again. You understand? When we are going to be brought into Egypt again with ships, our homeland will not be seen no more again. That doesn't mean that someone will travel to go back to Jerusalem to see different things over there. But we're talking about as a nation, as a family, as these 12 tribes, we're not going to see our homeland again. You understand? We're not going to have that government or that structure that we once had. Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
And where we were scattered, we are going to be sold unto the people. The Lord say is going to get up above the very high, which is what? Our enemies. You understand? The Lord tells us that we are going to be sold unto our enemies. All these other nations, we were sold to them. Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
For bondmen.
For what?
Bondmen. And bondwomen.
So we were sold unto these other nations for slaves, which the whole world know about the Atlantic slave trade. You understand? Where black people came across from West Africa on ships. Lord is telling us that we are going to be sold as slaves to these other nations. Slave men and slave women. Go ahead.
And no man shall buy you.
So we are going to be sold unto our enemies. You understand? Meaning we are going to be sold to these other nations for bondmen, slave men, and bondwomen, slave women, and no man is going to buy us. Meaning nobody, you understand, that's going to rise up in the name of saving blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians is going to free us. We as a people, we are not going to be free by no man. You understand? So which means in 2026, we as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians doing our corporate jobs and doing all these different things, we are still slaves. We are still servants to these other nations. You understand? We are still under the curses of Deuteronomy chapter 28. The Lord said, if we did not obey to do and observe his commandments, that is going to be what? Servants to these other nations. That is going to be scattered throughout these other nations. You understand? That is going to be sold for bondmen and bondmen to these other nations. The Lord said, no man is going to redeem us. No man is going to buy us. You understand? So in order for us as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to be redeemed from under the captivity of these other nations, we must, as a people, return back to the Lord. You understand? We must return back to the Lord to get that salvation. You understand? That the Christian church love to talk about. To get that salvation, to get that saving from our enemies. You understand? Give me to Psalm chapter 83, Baba Kusha. Psalm chapter 83 and go verse 1. When you have it, you could read it, Baba Kusha.
Come on, come. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 83 and verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Keep not thou silence, O Most High. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Most High.
You understand? And this is King David speaking here. King David is saying to the Most High, don't keep your silence and don't keep your peace. Don't be still. You understand? Because King David understands that the Lord moves. When I say the Lord moves, meaning the Lord is terrible. Lord say that he kill and he make alive. There's no God with me. King David is understanding that the Lord is being silent here. So he's saying, Lord, don't keep not your silence. Don't hold your peace. Because King David is observing something. He's seeing something happening to his people. You understand? Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
Verse 2.
Mm-hmm.
For, lo.
For what?
For, lo.
Say it again, Baba Kusha.
For, lo.
Mm-hmm. He's saying, for look. So now King David is going to show the things that these heathens, you understand, is doing to the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
Thine enemies.
Thine who?
Thine enemies.
Thine who?
Thine enemies.
Lord is saying, thine enemies. You understand? The Lord is saying, David is saying, look, your enemies, the people that is against you. Go ahead.
Make a tumult.
They did what?
Make a tumult.
And these heathens, you understand? These enemies of the Most High, they make a gathering. They make a tumult. Start coming together. You understand? King David saying, those that what? Hate you. Thine enemies. Declare themselves as what? Enemies. Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
And they that hate thee.
And they that what?
And they that hate thee.
And they that hate the Most High. You understand? Go ahead, Baba Kusha. Take your time.
Have lifted up the head.
They have done what?
They have lifted up the head.
What they don't understand, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. These enemies are the Most High. You understand? They began to get proud. Lifted up the head. Because they believe that there's no God. You understand? Because the Most High is what? Silent. The Most High is what? Holding his peace. As King David said. Nothing happening to these heathens. You understand? So they began to get proud. When they have done all these destruction and declared themselves enemies to the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. You understand? They begin to do what? Get proud. Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
Verse 3.
Mm-hmm.
They have taken crafty counsel.
They have done what?
They have taken crafty counsel.
And this is what our leaders don't understand. You understand? The gatekeepers are the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. They have taken crafty counsel. Against what?
against thy hidden ones.
Take it from the top, Bible question, verse 3.
Verse 3.
Mm-hmm.
They have taken crafty counsel.
So they have taken crafty counsel against the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. They have taken crafty counsel against this nation. You understand? Bringing in drugs and guns, putting it in the black community, destroying our economy. You understand? Selling our people a whole bunch of lies. Making our people believe that abortion is right. Selling drugs to one another is right. You understand? Making our people believe that this image that we serve, yeah, that is the image we're supposed to be following. That is the God that all you're supposed to be serving as a nation and as a people. You understand? Separating us by landmarks and by flags, by names. You understand? Making our people believe, nah, them can't do nothing good. Especially the people that come out from the ghetto. You understand? When you look at all the CIA operations that happen in the black community, we seeing where these people come into the black community and put one people in the community against you. They have taken crafty counsel. You understand? So now when we're watching wrong and we're seeing black on black crime, these is the things that they have attributed to the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man that will always keep them stumbling and always keep them falling. You understand? Not making a way for the others to understand, hey, this is, yeah, we ain't supposed to do this. But they coming in and they do that. You understand? They began to get proud, as the scriptures say. Then they come and take crafty counsel. You understand? Just like how we just say, how the heathens just do it, divide and conquer. You understand? Divide up the black man, the Hispanic man, the Native Indian man. Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
Against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones.
And every day is a meeting. Every day is a council. You understand? It's like with the UN, and as something happened to dive in, to keep some meeting. As something good happen, something good looking to happen to the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, always a meeting. Always a PTA meeting to do what? Discuss how we could further destroy the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. You understand? How we could further destroy this nation for this nation not to rise to the top. So what we don't understand is that these other nations, they have a perpetual hatred to the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. You understand? And it is known. It is known because you can watch these other nations and see what they do. You understand? Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
Verse 4. They have said.
And when it says in verse 3, and consulted against thy hidden ones, it's talking about the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. You are the hidden ones. The 12 tribes and nation of the nation of Israel, they are the hidden ones. But nobody don't understand who they are. They don't understand that they are the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. They have been hidden. They have been suppressed. You understand? We have been called Africans and colored and all different type of things. You understand? To keep these people suppressed, to keep these people hidden, not knowing that they are the chosen people of the Most High. Go to verse 4, Baba Kusha.
Verse 4. They have said.
So they come together and they say something. You understand? They come together to make an agreement. Go ahead.
Come and let us cut them off.
Let me do what?
Cut them off.
One more time, Baba Kusha.
Cut them off.
So they have come together. They have taken crafty counsel against the Most High people, consulted against the hidden ones. Then they said, come, let me cut them off. Why would they say, let me cut them off? Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
from being a nation.
So they have said, come, just cut them off from being a nation. When these 12 tribes are cut off from being their nation, from being a nation, you understand? This people will be divided. This people will have no power, no military might, no economic structure. You understand? Their whole governance table will be uprooted. You understand? And these heathens, they know that, they understand that. So they say, come, let me cut them off from being a nation. You understand? They understand that. Because they have no God in them. That is why the Lord said that their gods are no God. You understand? Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
That the name of Israel.
That the name of who?
That the name of Israel.
That the name of Israel. You understand? That reputation of Jacob. That reputation of the Most High. The name of the 12 tribes will be no more. Go ahead.
May be no more in remembrance.
You ain't going to remember. You understand? You're going to forget that. Just as the Lord said in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, now we're going to start serving other gods, even wood of stone, because of the things that these other nations, these enemies of the Most High, you understand, they began to do. Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
For they have consulted together with one consent.
So these other nations, they came together, they consulted, one mindset. Go ahead.
They, Salakia, they are confederate against thee.
Go ahead.
Verse 6. Right. The tabernacle of Edom.
So they come together with one consent, confederate against thee. Now they're going to these other nations. The tabernacle of Edom, the so-called white man, the oppressor. Go ahead.
And the Ishmaelites.
And the who?
And the Ishmaelites. Of Moab.
And the Ishmaelites, you understand, the Arabs of Moab. Go ahead.
And the Hagarenes.
Chinese and the Africans. Go ahead.
Gibal and Ammon.
Gibal and Ammon, so-called fake Jews. Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
And Amalek.
Amalek is the so-called fake Jews, Salakia. Go ahead.
The Philistines. The Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre.
Philistines, which is other African nation, with the inhabitants of what? Tyre. You understand? Which is another African nation as well. You understand? Tyre and Zidon, two famous African trading ports. So all these people came together with one consent, one understanding, one mindset to make sure that this nation be cut off from being a people. They came together to make sure that the name, the reputation of Israel may be no more in remembrance. They came together to make sure, you understand, that we was cut off from being a people. That is why in 2026, we are all divided. These 12 sons, these 12 brothers are all divided. You understand? We don't know our culture, we don't know our history, we don't know who we are as a people. You understand? Give me Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 4, Baba Kusha. We don't know who we are. Then now we can look and see whereby these politicians and other nations, they make fun of us. You understand? They make fun of us and laugh. Because we as a people, we are divided, and this is what we don't understand. You know? I'm going to show you something. This was a little while back. Right? And we're just going to play a little piece on it. because this is something of recent. You understand? Keep coming up over and over. So we're just going to play a little piece on it.
Gil, don't let me start on you, So stop calling my name on your platform. Stop calling my name. And what you
right? So there's the Prime Minister. Well, at that time she was on the opposing side. You understand? And she's making statements to another parliamentarian and telling she stop calling Shinif. You understand? With whatever they will be going through. Right? But pay attention to something.
Gil, don't let me start on you, So stop calling my name on your platform. Stop calling my name. And what you so vexed about my name for? This lady went on a platform last week.
There comes a time when we have to call out Kamla Sushila Prasad Bisesa
and 3 or 4 times, Kamla Sushila Prasad Bisesa. Isn't that a beautiful name? Yeah. What problem you have with my name? What's wrong with my name? Yeah, Camille. At least I have a name for my ancestors. Where you got yours from? Your name is that of a slave master. Gil, don't let...
You understand? So now, the Prime Minister then at that time telling the another parliamentarian, which is predominantly Negro, but we understand that this country governance is divided by 2 distinct races, in East Indians and Negroes. So she's saying, where you get your name from? You get your name from where? Slave master. Now this is where these other nations, they began to get proud. They begin to get proud. You understand? Where the Prime Minister to come out and say something like that. And these are the things that King David was talking about. You understand? When you look at the atrocities that happen to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, these heathens, they have a track record. They have a track record against the things that is being done to the so-called Black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. You understand? And we have lost all our might, all our power. Just as the scriptures say, when these yokes of iron came off our necks, we was destroyed. We can't do absolutely nothing. You understand?
Yeah, appreciate it.
Let me watch something again.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kamla Prasad Bisesa has reintroduced race baiting across the political divide once more. I heard Kamla a couple of days ago speaking, following Israel Khan sentiment, speaking about the percentage of crime in the Afro community, and the Afro PNM is humbugging the Afro people from progress within the Afro constituency. I want to ask Kamla Prasad Bisesa today, you talking about you want to help Afro so much. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, wasn't it you that was laughing at us and you said that we, the Afro people, have slave names? You remember that? You remember the big joke that you make that Afro people have slave names? You know where your name come from, but Afro people have slave names. You remember that? I want to ask you, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, between 2010 and 2015, what you did for the Afro constituencies to move forward.
right? So we're not going to all that. You understand? But the point being drawn here is these other nations, they begin to get proud. And our people, we understand that to a certain degree. You understand? That these other nations, they have no care for us. They have no care for us. But as the Lord said in the book of Deuteronomy, we're going to serve our enemies in want of all things because we have to get something from these other nations. We have to go and serve them. You understand? Unless we do what the Most High say. Give me the book of Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 1, Bible question. Unless we do what the Most High say, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. Unless we follow this Bible, unless we follow this book, we're going to continually be in servitude to these other nations. When you have it, go ahead, Bible question. We're going to continually be in servitude to these other nations, and these other nations is going to continually making sure that our people remain at the bottom. They're just going to use some of our people because, you know what I mean, they understand certain level of psychology when coming to the people and put them in certain spots, put them in certain places to do what? Make sure that our people continually remain at the bottom. You understand? They understand it. When you have it, go ahead, Bible question, and I will show you some after.
The book of Zephaniah, chapter 2 and verse 1. Gather yourselves together.
What?
Gather yourselves together.
So-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. The Lord is telling us to do what? Gather ourselves together. Some black people or some people might be saying, hey, we always been gathering. You understand? We always coming together. Same thing keep happening over and over. You understand? Black people can't rise to the top. Black people have been gathered. It's true. We can't rise to the top because we are not doing what the Lord says. When we gather with our own philosophy, with our own doctrine. We gather with what we believe will work for us. But the Lord is telling us in the book of Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 1 to gather ourselves together. This is our order. Coming from the Most High. Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
Yea, gather together, O nation not desire.
Lord is saying to the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, gather yourself together, O nation not desired, O race, O people not desired. We are not desired, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man by none of these other races. We could go through history, countless records, and see where we as people are not desired. You understand? We are not desired by these other nations. And from generation to generation, give me 2 Chronicles chapter 30 and verse 8, Bible question. And from generation to generation, we have been teaching the generations after us to continue in that same footstep. You understand? We're going to continue to be in that same footstep. And when we're looking to get a different result, we can't get a different result. Why? We're continuing in the same things as our forefathers. You understand? Officer Tazo, you could hold Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 4 for me, Bible Kusha. You could go down when you have it, Officer Kobal, right?
Come on, come. The book of 2 Chronicles chapter 30 and the verse 8.
Listen to this, and that is so unfortunate.
Go ahead.
Now, be ye not stiff-necked.
Be what?
Be ye not stiff-necked.
You understand? So the Lord is telling us to the prophets, don't be stiff-necked. You understand? Don't be hard. Don't be rebellious. 17 and 4. You understand? Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
As your fathers were.
As who?
As your fathers were.
The Lord saying, don't be stiff-necked as our forefathers were. You understand? Don't continue in them same footsteps, the same traditions. You understand? Don't continue doing the same things that they did, that did not profit them. Why the Lord saying, don't be stiff-necked as our forefathers? Because the same thing is going to happen to you, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. So when the Lord tells us that we was going to be served to our enemies, and they will serve different gods, wood and stone. We now have to turn away from that. We have to turn away from the things that affected our forefathers or stop them from serving the Most High. You understand? Read it from the top one more time, Baba Kusha, and then you can jump to the Jeremiah 17 of Zadazo.
Verse 8. Now be ye not stiff-necked, as your fathers were.
Don't be stiff-necked, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, as your fathers were, as your forefathers were. You understand? Because the Lord is showing us throughout this Bible, whereby we as a people, what will happen to us once we continue serving the Most High, thy power. You understand? Once we start understanding our culture, our history, and we start serving the Lord already directed us and showed us what is going to happen to our people, what is going to happen to our nation. You understand? And also showed us, once we be that rebellious people or that stiff-necked people, what is going to befall the nation. We see in the state of our nation right now. We see in where these other nations, well, they proud long time. You understand? And day after day, seeing where more things happening. You understand? To bring the demise of the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. But we as a people must return to the Lord. That's the end of verse 8, Baba Kusha. Go ahead. We're just going straight on to the end of verse 8.
But yield yourselves unto the Most High.
But do what?
But yield yourselves unto the Most High.
And this is what we have to do, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. Yes, yield yourself unto the Most High. Yield yourself to the rules, the laws, commandments, statutes that come out of this Bible. Yes, yield yourself to the high holy days, the feast days. You understand? And drop off the things of this world, just as we read in the security announcement. Shed yourself from the world. You understand? From all the things that we have been taught by these other nations. Shed ourselves from the world. You understand? And yield ourselves to what?
But yield yourselves unto the Most High.
You understand? But we're going to do what? Yield ourselves to the Most High. You understand? Start operating in that mindset. Start functioning in the things that the Most High wants us to function in, which is His laws, commandments, and statutes. Of Sata's argument, Hosea chapter 4 and verse 6, Baba Kusha.
Book of Hosea, chapter 4 and verse 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
Understand? To call black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. We as a people, we're going to continually be destroyed. And we are destroyed. Why? By lack of knowledge. You understand? What is that knowledge? It is that skill. You understand? Or know-how that they're going to learn through education, for the things that they do. You understand? We lack this knowledge, we lack this understanding because we're not doing something. Not following the Most High's laws, commandments, and statutes. We're not wanting to have the ability to understand what we need to do as a people. Come out of the condition that we're in. You understand? And all these things we have to blame the Christian church, the Muslim mosque, the religion. You understand? These are supposed to be the institutions or the places that are supposed to be teaching black people their culture and their history. But there we flock to the majority of the time, looking for the answers, looking for the way back to the Most High. You understand? But the Lord is telling us what? We are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Where Baba Kusha?
Because thou hast rejected knowledge.
Because we have rejected knowledge, because we have rejected that way or that know-how in order for us to return to the Most High. You understand? We choose to serve other gods. We choose to walk away from the Most High. Go ahead.
I will also reject thee.
That process, the Lord saying, He's going to reject us. You understand? So although you might be seeing like most of these rappers and R&B singers, you know what I mean, might be watching like, yeah, but them on top, them happen. The Lord saying He's going to reject us. You understand? They are already rejected by the Most High because they refuse to do the things and operate in that mindset. You understand? That our forefathers left for us to follow in order to be able to know and to understand, to get that knowledge, to teach You understand? The younger generations after, just as Moses said, we're supposed to teach this to our children, children. You understand? But the Lord is telling us what? Our people, we are destroyed for that lack of knowledge. So now we're going to continue a little bit on the march to Caroni, where we was on last week. Right? We're going to read a little bit more. So the march into Caroni was conducted by Makandal Daga. You understand? And it formally started off with the march, the Black Power movement. You understand? And it was a march whereby when Makandal Daga was saying that it's to unite Afro Trinbagonians, but they was going to march to Caroni. You understand? And he was saying that, let me see if I could find it. Right? Boom, boom, boom. Daga reminded the crowd that it was a peaceful march and asked them to repeat the words, "I pledge to create brotherhood between the black races of Trinbago, not to retaliate against our Indian brothers and sisters, in case anyone used to create antagonism, to hold responsible those forces to work to divide the two races." You understand? So it started off with the march for black people with better working conditions, better wages, so forth and so forth. You understand? And when these heathens, they understand what was taking place. Remember, I done already had trade unions established and all these different things. That is whereby we came to the understanding with Cipriani and Rienzi. You understand? And who's the next man name again, boy? Cipriani, Rienzi. Someone's fine. Rafik Shah, you understand? And Rafik Shah. All these heathens, because Cipriani is a heathen, you understand? A white oppressor, Rienzi is a East Indian, you understand? Rafik Shah, another East Indian. All these people, they, just as the scripture says, they take crafty counsel. So when Makandal Daga gathered over 40,000 people to make this march from Port of Spain to Caroni, you understand? These heathens, they get in the midst of what he was doing, you understand? And started to bring all these nations together. You understand? To bring the East Indians, and the Africans together. So we're going to read a little bit about that, and then right? So remember in the 1970 March to Caroni for racial unity, the period of February 26th to April 21st in 1970 marks one of the most momentous periods in our nation's history. For 56 days, Makandal Daga, then Geddes Granger, and the National Joint Action Committee, NJAC, led thousands of people daily on demonstrations to every part of Trinidad and Tobago with the rally crying, "Power to the people." It was the movement for true independence, you understand? And when you look at the history, right, you're seeing whereby it started off as a Black Power movement. You understand? We moved from seeking independence of better working conditions, better wages, you understand, for black people, moving into blacks and Indians unite. You understand? So we're going to continue down a little bit. Right? So it was a rally cry for power to the people. It was a movement for true independence. Daga recognized that having a national anthem, national flag, and national parliament did not guarantee the true independence. He knew that the old colonial institutions, which were built to serve European colonizers, England, France, and Spain, among others, had to be removed for freedom to be achieved. You understand? And the only people that fight for freedom from since slavery till now was black people. We always fighting for freedom, get rid of colonial ways, colonial laws. You understand? All these flags and all these different things. Have no way. These other nations, they fought for us in no way. Even when you go back to the march with the Black Power movement, you understand, when they had reached the Caroni, it was almost nighttime, I believe, and they're saying some of the East Indians, which is the Elamites in the Bible, they opened their doors. They opened their doors to the so-called black man, you understand? Because they saw an opportunity. They saw an opportunity for themselves, you understand, where they could ride on that, ride on the power, or ride on the influence that Makandal Daga had with his people. You understand? he knew that the old colonial boom boom right, the old institution imposed by our European masters to serve their interests had oppressed our people for hundreds of years. There was a call for new institutions, whether economic, educational, cultural, social, or political, which could reflect the true needs of our people after hundreds of years of slavery and colonialism. You understand? They ain't talking nothing about indentureship and all these different things. And they keep hearing the rhetoric, our people. You understand? So how the Elamites, which is the East Indians, they gain traction into our fight, into our struggle. You understand? What we don't understand, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, we have always had a track record at integrating these other nations into our struggle. Always have that track record. And when we struggle, you never see these other nations fighting for us. They never did that throughout history. Even up to today, when you look at the protests and things that happening in Trinidad right now, you're not seeing them other nations coming out in no big way. You understand? To protest with black people at outside here, protesting. You're not seeing that happen. You're not seeing that happening. You understand? Yes, it's a heathen that get gunned down, but one of our sisters was there too. You understand? So they're not even coming out in that struggle. They're not coming out in that fight. And then when you watch with the people that did the unaliving, it's our people. You understand? We always the face of danger to these other nations. We not the face of all these nice institutions whereby, you know, black people could start learning and understanding, wait, nice, how are you doing? This is how you just do this, this is how you just do that. You understand? Whereby we could carry back that chain. You understand? To let our people know, hey, this is how this is happening. So we could start crawling out from the condition that we're in. We're not doing that. You understand? Why? Because they have us in positions whereby we can't do it. And if danger come or something happen, our people is at the face. So when the public or the people have to riot or revolt, we go in at the face of our people. We're not seeing the engine behind it. You understand? We're not seeing that driving force behind it. Because we're just looking at the black man. Yeah, they unalive the people and them. You understand? They're the ones doing the killing. They're the one in national security and this and that and the other. You understand? We're not seeing that. We always integrate these other nations, you understand, into our fight. And when we integrate them, we always end up at the bottom. It have no way. The so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, we end up at the top. And when I say end up at the top, meaning we end up in a position whereby we could actually pull our people out of the condition that we're in. You understand? Always at the bottom. Hold Jeremiah 14 and verse 2 from Baba Kusha. Anybody that grab it first, right? We could just play something short here and continue in the reading, right?
Brought race into this. And that is so unfortunate. Let me tell you why. And they made reference several times to say the Prime Minister could declare a zone and the Prime Minister could declare a zone. The Prime Minister, when she declares a zone, is declaring that zone whilst in her capacity as the presiding officer of the National Security Council. So it's not the Prime Minister by herself declaring a zone. So let's get the race out of the way. Because let me tell you another safeguard and why there's no race in this. When the Prime Minister declares a zone, it is based, first of all, on data. It is based on information. There must be a basis. It can't be the Prime Minister waking up one morning and saying, let me declare a zone. And when the Prime Minister in the National Security Council, presiding in the National Security Council, declares a zone, then the other persons in the National Security Council, and let me go through all of them because I had to write it down because it kept going on and on and on. So let me put this race bogey to rest. The National Security Council is made up of the Attorney General, a black man. The National Security Council, a proud black man. The National Security Council.
Now you notice how the whole chamber started to All right, we're going again.
Council, a proud black man from Bella Road, Belmont. The National Security Council General, a black man. The National Security Council, a proud black man from Bella Road, Belmont. The National Security Council is also made up of my friend Xander, Roger Alexander, member for Tunapuna. A proud black man. My friend Sean Sobers is a member of the National Security Council. A proud black man. Right. And then I am also on the National Security Council. I'm black. In features and fixtures. The Commissioner of Police. The Commissioner of Police who has to attend, unlike San Fernando, the Commissioner of Police who has to attend the National Security Council and make representations is a black man. The Chief of Defense Staff who has to attend is also a black man. A little fairer, so that in Trinidad they call him a red man, because he's a black man. The commanding officer of the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment is a black man. The commanding officer of the Air Guard is a black woman. The commanding officer of the Coast Guard is a black man. So, what are you saying, that all of these black men and women would get together and just say, let's target black people? You see, they are using this race thing, and they started it with the Stand Your Ground legislation, and they tried to bring it here. And we had to tell them, and they're doing it again, we had to tell them that Stand Your Ground is in another country where black people are a minority, where the police are in the white majority, and that is not going to happen here. So the majority of the TTPS, majority of the TTDF happen to be black people. So are you saying that they are racist too, against their own?
Right? So when you listen to that clip, right, you can always go back and listen. You go understand so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. Again, that all people, we just put in spots so that when we uprise, when our people uprise because of things and atrocities that's happening, we just went and face our own. So right there, it is a divide of our people. Look at all the places that he called where black people is. And all these places is places of security. You understand? So when black people go against black people, you understand, not understanding the operating force behind it, which is these other nations, we looking at, yeah, but we here, and we there, and we in this nice spot, and we over security, and we this and that. But when the driving force behind it, which is these other nations, you understand that our prophet King David said, they have taken crafty counsel against our people. This is part of being in a crafty counsel unit. Because when our people uprise, we feel they're going to these other nations, no, they're going to people looking just like them. You understand? And any errors they make, our people now are going to do what? Point the finger. Look at them. And if they making errors, then who is us? Then we're going to continually having black on black crime. You understand? He for him own self said, you understand that he know that there are drugs and guns coming in legal ports of entry. They know all these things, but they cannot make the move. Why they cannot make a move is because there's somebody over them, and it's not your people. It's these other nations. So when the final shot call, just like how we go be saying, the Prime Minister do this, and she say this, and she say that, because we have so much black people here to govern other black people. But the final call, the Prime Minister have it. So even if they come up with whatever, it have to go through she for she to say, all right, this is what going on. But she's the overseer. You understand? But because we might be in certain positions, you understand, we might feel that, you know. Now we as black people, we have it on that law. But our forefathers, our foreparents of old showed us in many different ways where these nations take crafty counsel against our people. You understand? Give me the book of Jeremiah, Babakusha. Yeah, go ahead.
Chapter what, verse is that?
Jeremiah 14 and verse 2.
Judah mourneth. Judah mourneth.
So-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. The Jews, the true Jews. Our people, we are in mourning. You understand? When they go back and they check the statistics of black and black crime and police brutality, right here in Trinidad, you understand? And different uprisings and protests and all these different things. You seeing whereby we are the ones in mourning. Not these other nations. You understand? And when all these uprisings and things happen, they send out our people to guard over us. And when they send our people to guard over us without the knowledge of the Most High, you understand, because they're running under the influence of these other nations, or the thought process of these other nations, the way how they think and do things, they're not going to operate with our people the way that they're supposed to operate, because they're operating on that different frequency. They're operating on that different mindset. The Lord is telling us, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, the Jews are in mourning. Even if we see our politicians and political leaders in certain spots, we might feel we're safe, but we're not safe. You understand? Just as the Lord says, we read a little while before, we need to gather ourselves together, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. Go ahead, Babakusha.
On the gates thereof languish.
And what?
The gates thereof languish.
The protection for black people, it has been destroyed. It has been languished. You understand? When you see blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians in these positions and they're talking like that, you know them and have a care for black people, because you trying to show the oppressor, look how much black people here. You think we will go against one another? He trying to show the oppressor that. He trying to show his superior that. You understand? The Lord is telling us the Jews are in mourning. Our people are in mourning, and the gatekeepers, they are languished. The people that are supposed to be protecting blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, they are destroyed. You understand? Go ahead, Babakusha.
They are black unto the ground.
They are what?
Black unto the ground.
You understand? And the gatekeepers, those that are languished, our people, Lord, let them know the black. They are black people, gatekeepers that are supposed to be watching over blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You understand? They're not going to fight. Just the way how we talk, you know them not going to fight for black people. Hispanics and Native Indians worse. You understand? They're not going to fight for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. And throughout our time, from slavery till now, we have always integrated these other nations, always, and try to make them feel comfortable and feel nice when they are not doing that for us. In here, the first time, as he mentioned, black, everybody go, because that is people from his team. And the people on his team, most of them is what? Predominantly the other nation, the Elamites, the East Indians. So it's like they're signaling to him psychologically, well, all right, boy, you're going good. That is a good one. You understand? And he starts continuing in his rampage showing where all black people are situated. But we don't understand that they put us there to police us, but under their governance. You understand? Just like when Rafik Shah, he led 300 police officers to mutiny. You understand? During the time of Butler, OWTU. And he changed his name from an East Indian name, not Rafik Shah, sorry, he didn't change the name, but he led the people into mutiny. Rienzi, he changed his name from Diodine something to something Rienzi, just to make his name more palatable for the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, to make himself be more accepted amongst black people. And these are the things that happen. And we just follow because we are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. We don't understand what we other people are supposed to do. We don't understand we're supposed to get ourselves together. We still thinking we're African. We still thinking these other nations like us, who's the Lord's enemies. So we just follow through with it. You understand? If you want to understand true governance, you want to understand your culture, your history, you want to understand the way of the Most High, need to get in the ISUPK under Commanding General. Need to search out Commanding General and understand how this nation is building. Understand how this nation is going about its affairs. Because it is absolutely different to what we know these governments out here, how they run their affairs. You think now them people mad? You think now they don't know what they're doing? Now them can't build nothing. You understand? But you need so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man to get into the ISUPK under Commanding General Yohana. And as I always say when I come out to teach them classes, and then make sure, first priority on the agenda, learn your identity. Learn your identity, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, and that is going to spread to you wanting to know the identity of these other nations. Then you're going to understand, wait, it's something totally different happening. Now you're going to see how these other nations dealt with your people for thousands of years, recorded right here in the Bible. Now you're going to see how these other nations is going to deal with your people 2026. Now you're going to understand why all these marches and these protests ended up to be nothing, because of the integration with these other nations. Just like with Martin Luther King. Integrated black people with white, and it ended up to what? More killings, more atrocities. You understand? More hangings. Till he's saying for your own self, you realize you lead the people in our burning house. We always stand to fight for something for us. But our leaders, they don't understand so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. That their mission, the mission of these other nations, is to always keep the black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man at the bottom. Let me just read a little bit from this again, right? The old institutions imposed by our European masters to serve their interests have oppressed our people for hundreds of years. So blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we have been oppressed for hundreds of years by the systems put in place by these European masters. There was a call for new institutions, whether economic, educational, cultural, social, or political, which could reflect the true needs of our people after hundreds of years of slavery and colonialism. You understand? These are the things that our people was fighting for a way that our people could be re-educated in a way that is beneficial for them. Not in a way whereby we will continue building the nations and their people. We always start off with a struggle for us and always getting derailed by these other nations once we put them in it. That is why the Lord said, gather yourself together, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. That is why the Lord said, choose us to be separate. That is why the Lord said he have severed us from other people. You understand? In anything the black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man doing, once we put the Most High in it, it is going to be prosperous. Once we don't have the Most High in it, it is going to fail. Because some point in the other, we're going to drag in these other nations. That is why I need to come into the ISUPK under Commanding General Yohana, edify yourself. You understand? Get that knowledge that the Most High say we are destroyed for. get that knowledge, get that understanding, you understand? And make your nation be the nation that the Most High wants to be above all nations on the face of the earth. Give me Deuteronomy 7 and 6, and we'll close up with that Bible question. Anybody have it, can read it.
This is the book of Deuteronomy. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7.
Listen to this.
And verse 6.
Go ahead.
For thou art an holy people unto the Most High Power.
So-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, you are a holy people unto the Most High God. You are holy, you are separate. You understand? Holy meaning separate. You understand? Which is Kodash in the Hebrew. Again, in the ISUPK under commanding General Hannah, you could come and you could learn the Hebrew language, which is your language, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. You understand? Well,
the Most High, thy power, hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself.
The Lord chose the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man to be a special people unto himself. You understand? The Lord chose us to be separate to him. You understand? And again, if you have something special, you're going to treat it a certain way, you're going to deal with it a certain way, you're going to put certain laws in place whereby it can be used and abused. You understand? Or misused. Well,
above.
And this is what happened to us, the Most High, through Moses, you understand, giving us the instructions whereby we're going to be separate with our own laws, our own customs, our own constitution, our own governance system. You understand? Whereby it will set us apart from the Chinese, the East Indians, the Syrians, all these other nations, the Africans, you understand? That's what was given to our nation, it's going to set us apart from them. And if you look at it now, you understand? You look at the nation of Israel in the ISUPK under commanding General Hannah, and you look at these heathens and the way how they do things. You understand? Coming into this understanding, you're going to realize it's two totally different things that going on. The way how these nations conduct their affairs and the way how the nation of Israel in the ISUPK does things, absolutely different. You understand? Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
Above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
You understand? So the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, these 12 tribes, the so-called oppressor, the white man taking advantage of, you understand? Kicking in our doors, running in on us like ice, you understand? Giving our brothers and sisters that spirit of not wanting to really look out for our brothers and sisters, you understand? And all these different things. Lord, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man don't want you like that. He wanted to be what? Above all these nations that are on the face of the earth. So again, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. Check us out every Tuesday, 91.9 FM. You understand? Myself, Officer Sowapiara, the officer above me. We'll be on the streets, 91.9 FM. We'll have various brothers interchanging as well too. You understand? Call in, ask the questions, drop your comments. You understand? Leave your feedback. If you don't want to do it on the show, remember you can reach us on the numbers scrolling under the screen, 479-8286 or 1202-701-4640. Call us, send us a message. If you don't want to do that, you can leave an email too. Drop your questions and queries in the chat as the live classes go on. You understand? And with that, this brings us to the end of the class. I pass the class over to Priest and Officer Tattoo. Yes.
Security announcements via the ISUPK out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commandant General Yana. New rules for brothers and sisters: when a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After the 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in the book of Numbers, chapter 18 and verse 21, And Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 to 10 means tenth in Hebrew and is pronounced ma'aishara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, you give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free offering for priests. Not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming Holy Convocation is the Feast of Purim, right, which is the 14th day and the 15th day of the 12th month, which is Monday the 2nd of March and Tuesday the 3rd of March. 2026, you can find this in the book of Esther, chapter 9, verses 20 to 31. Right? Remind Akim, which means brothers, and Akwathian, which means sisters, to check on social media such as iscpk.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for ISUPK events and materials. If your brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he's to start wearing all black, which includes black boots, like shirts, like pants, band, or scarf, and with that beside margin, which means to stand. Upon Yakodam, which means to turn and face the east, which means to turn. You want to say the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew? Abanau, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Ayah, Shamka, Yahweh, Malakwatka, Taba'a, Ratazaka, Ayah, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawa, Ayah, Bashamayim, Nathan, Nanawa, Lakam, Kal, Yawam, Wasalak Nawa, Kababat Nawa, Kasalak Nawa, Kababati Nawa, Wala'a, Tabai Ainawa, Manasaya 1, Abal, Awashainawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Baka, Amalakwat, Wahala, Wataparath, Lai Walamiam, Aman.
What you just said in English, oh Father, which art in heaven, God in heaven, hallowed be thy name, be thy name, Yahweh, thy kingdom come, will be done, as it is in heaven, as it is our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. So be it.
So which means to turn, when I visually give you teacher, salute, when I tell you that I'm Shabbat, watch him, Rob, Yahweh Basham, Shabbat,
Yahweh Basham, Shabbat.
So which means to turn, when I give you sisters on my salute, when I visually I'm Shabbat, watch him, Rob,
Yahweh Basham, Basham, Yahweh Basham.